right, welcome back to H2H. We are at week number 4 now. Tasos, I am the 3-0 man. You can't even sniff my jockstrap at this point. 3-0. How are we feeling headed into this week?
Listen, there's no way to run from it, no way to hide from it. A little cold. Oh, here we go. Eating W's. You know what? I hope you lose this week so bad because I'm gonna go ahead and take that clip and send it right back to you next week. Oh, yeah. No, listen, I'm not off to the best start this week so far. This season, I should say, this so far, not great. But you know what? We did better. The first couple of weeks, you killed me. You went like 4-0 2 weeks in a row.
Yeah.
This week we both went 2-2. You beat me by 0.07 units. So
not even a full tenth of a unit. Literally 0.07, not 0.7 to you guys listening. It was 0.07.
You essentially won off a technicality. So
no, it's still a win. It still tastes like a W.
I mean, yeah. Look, I was looking at it last year. We had a decent start to the season last year, but it wasn't until the middle of the year where I really hit my stride. I had like a 6-7 week period where I just kept spanking your ass. So, listen, it's coming. It's a slow start, but keep the faith.
And I will be honest. Last year at that point was like, if anyone's watching new this year, and we have a ton of new viewers, last year what you were doing to me during that time period is so much worse than what I've been doing to you these first three weeks. Like, I can admit that. Like, you were on absolute fire. But speaking of new viewers, if you guys don't know what this show is, it is H2H, a show in which Tasos and myself battle it out each and every week. We have 4 picks on the board. The Fade Me round's very interesting. Whoever wins the most units on the NFL week gets a win for that week. I am now 3-0 if I failed to mention that one. But the kicker here is that a wheel is going to determine what bet lane or category we go into. So we have player props, Thursday night plays, money lines. You'll see it all on the wheel spin coming up. But Tasos, are you ready to jump into this one?
I'm ready. I'm ready to go.
All right, let's go ahead. So the first wheel you guys are going to see is going to have our names on it. This is going to determine the order of the draft. It is a snake draft, so if it lands on me, I go, then Tasos goes, and then next round he goes first, and vice versa. But it'll make sense as we get going here. But Tasos, let's spin it. The wheel has been a big deal so far. Didn't mean to rhyme there. Let's see what we got.
It's been kind of a dick so far. I'm not going to lie to you.
Well, but you know what? It's back in your good graces.
You know
there
what?
You go.
Ask and you shall receive.
There you go. So Tasos is going first. You're going to see a second wheel now on your screen with our bet categories, and whichever one this lands on for this round, that is what we're going to be diving into here. So let's go ahead and do that. Before we do, I guess, anything that you're eyeing. I know you said before we started to record that you liked what you had, at least in terms of some plays here. We both agree it's a weird NFL week, but you found some value.
It's wonky, a lot of weird matchups, a lot of weird lines. I have one pick, and the fact that you did say before the show that you have a couple alternate Ev, a little alti Ev action. I have an alternate pick that I really like. So I wonder if it's aligned with yours. So I'm kind of hoping I can go ahead and use that right now. We'll see. All
right, let's spin it.
Let's see. Come on. The wheels. This first spin's usually been pretty bad. All right, that's not what I was going for, but you know what? That's fine. That's okay. That's fine.
I have a couple of these that I like as well. I'm not thrilled with it though. I'll tell you that. That's like the first like total bad vibe wheel spin that I've felt in 3 weeks now. So you might have an upper hand here, but go ahead.
All right, so I'm going to go ahead and take a under here. I'm going to go ahead and take the Texans Jaguars under 45.5. I don't know if you watched last night, Ev. The Jaguars got humiliated on national television by the Bills. They only scored 10 points in that game. I think this Jaguars offense has a lot of problems. I think Doug Peterson probably gets sent packing after this year. I don't know if they're going to be able to fix this on the fly. I mean, they have the pieces to do it. I mean, I still believe that Trevor Lawrence can be a good quarterback. He's definitely got some issues. I think some of it is what's around him. This offensive line in Jacksonville's look kind of bad, pretty putrid actually to say, so far this season. And his weapons, either they don't get open or when they do, they drop the ball. But he deserves some of the blame too. There's some throws where even last time watching, we're like, what is he doing? And then on the flip side with Houston, look, the Texans might be 2-1, but honestly, their offense has not been super impressive the first couple weeks. They got obviously beat pretty badly by Minnesota last week. Only scored 7 points on the Vikings. They scored 29 week 1 versus the Colts, and then they only scored 19 week 2 versus the Bears. Now, some of it could be the defenses they're playing. Obviously, Jacksonville's defense looked absolutely miserable last night as well. I just think these AFC South games are kind of weird. They're usually pretty tight. They're pretty physical. These teams know each other pretty well. The last time these two teams met last year was 24-21, so it was a close cash, but the under did at 45.5. did hit last year when they played. So I do like the spot overall. It's risky. I would like it if it was a couple points higher, but I just don't think the Jacksonville offense will be able to score enough points to get this total higher. My one fear here is that perhaps Houston's offense finally lights up a little bit, but so far this year, their offense hasn't been that great.
Yep. Yeah, I would say I'm kind of in the same boat. This is one that I looked at. It didn't make it, like, you didn't take it from me or anything. It didn't make it to my final spot, but I do think the one concern is, like, is Houston now in a spot where they're finally going to have a good game? And you can even, like, obviously week 1 against Indianapolis 29, against a good Bears defense 19. 19 wouldn't be really good enough for this total either, if that's all they scored. But the fact that they scored 7 last week, like, they're better than that, you know what I mean? But that's a legit Vikings defense to some degree, but they didn't
Yeah.
look very good. Like, can they kick it into gear and make this tough? Yes. But I like the idea of Jacksonville. What I saw from that Jacksonville game, Monday Night Football, like, their offense isn't there. They don't have the line really to support Etienne or Trevor Lawrence. The weapons aren't there. Even Trevor Lawrence is starting to make it into the, like, whatever category for me. Like, I think it's too long. He's been in the league now to be like, oh, he's a young quarterback, he's fine. No, Trevor Lawrence may just be better than average in that at best. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I don't mind that under there. The one concern, and it sounds like we're on the same page, so, like, my saving grace here for you to potentially lose this one is, like, I think the Texans have the weapons, and they're still waiting for, like, a breakout game, like 30 plus points. Even though they scored 29 in week 1, I think their offense can look a lot better. So yeah, I don't mind the under, but that is definitely, like, the hesitation. That's what kept it off my slip, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, there's some data to support it. This is brought to you guys by Outlier. Shout out Outlier.
All right, real quick, guys, before we get to the rest of the show, I wanted to shout out Outlier. If you're struggling with your NFL picks this year, whether it's player props, spreads, totals, even if it's the prize picks and underdogs of the world, you need to try out Outlier, and you can do just that. You can try it 7 days free with the link in the pinned comment. I swear by it. Tasos swears by it. We've both become way better sports bettors since using Outlier. And again, 7 days free with the link in the pinned comment and in the description. Go check out Outlier, guys. Do not miss out on a 7-day trial for an app that could literally change your betting trajectory. Yes, it could.
The under 45.5 has cashed in 6 of the Jaguars' last 10 games dating back to last season. Now, that's impressive, but believe it or not, the Texans line is actually even more impressive. At this 45.5 point line dating back to last year, a 70% hit rate on this under a 45.5 in their last 10 games dating back to last season. It's 2-1 so far this year for the Texans. For the Jaguars, it's also 2-1. So pretty good numbers recently, including this year. They're both 2-1 on this under a 45.5 point line. And then the insights, which if you guys have Outlier, it provides insights here. The under is actually hitting 4 of the Texans' last 6 games versus bottom 10 scoring defenses. So in these matches where you expect the Houston Texans would take advantage against these bottom 10 defenses, the opposite seems to be happening, where you actually don't see a lot of points being scored in these games where they're playing these defenses that are kind of shitty, to say it in as nice as I possibly can. So again, I just think that this AFC South matchup, now, not to keep poking holes in my own argument, the first time these two teams played last year, the Texans won 37-17. So obviously the over definitely cashed in that one. But again, the second time they played, 24-21, was a tighter game. I'm hoping for the latter. I'm hoping we see another tight matchup here, a field goal type game. But like we keep saying, I mean, the Texans have the pieces on offense where they could do it. But the data seems to suggest there's a pretty good shot the under could hit here.
Yeah, I don't mind it. Now, mine is, I have a feeling you're not going to like mine because
Okay.
I'm still deciding if I like mine, okay? So I'm rolling with it. I'm looking at Tampa Bay and Philadelphia over 44.5. That's minus 110 on ESPN. You could look at the most recent games from these teams and be like, oh my God, that's terrible. Tampa Bay scored 7 last week. Philadelphia won 15-12 against New Orleans. But overall, like, these aren't all that great of defenses. Now, the one concern here, and I'm kind of rolling the dice, A.J. Brown's questionable. He's been out for a couple weeks. Now, Devonta Smith leaves last game in the fourth quarter with a potential concussion or maybe even a full-blown concussion. If those two guys are out, then damn, I'm kind of, shit out of luck here. But I still think Tampa Bay's offense bounces back after last week. I think that this is a terrible, terrible Eagles defense, allowing the 6th most rushing. I think they're bottom 3rd in terms of passing as well. Can Tampa Bay get it back on track? Sure. Some of their numbers look a little wonky now because of that absolutely putrid performance. But if we focus on, like, the one thing here that I think a lot of people jump to, well, Tampa Bay's got a good defense. 26 points to Denver? Like, you can't tell me that you have a good defense. You allowed 26 points to Denver at home. All I want is the Eagles to continue to kind of do what they do. Even if Smith and Brown are out, it's like, well, Saquon looks good. Jalen Hurts is good enough to get some points and move that offense fast. They play at a fast pace. And then Tampa Bay, go score more than 7 points. This line was at 48 when they first had the schedule out. Because of an overreaction to recent games, it's now down 3.5 points. Over 44.5. I think that we see at least 20 points from both teams, and then just give me something else somewhere along the way to hit the over.
Yeah, I don't hate it. The Buccaneers defense, although on paper they're okay, they have some injuries in the secondary. Antoine Winfield's been banged up.
Yep.
They're missing some key pieces there. So their pass defense has actually been putrid. That's why, and I didn't give it out in my picks in the video because I was kind of a pussy to bet it, but I kind of like Denver in that matchup because I do think that and obviously we saw it come true. Their secondary was horrible. I mean, Bo Nix, who looked not so good the first couple of weeks, threw all over them. So I think this Bucs defense has some issues right now between injuries and some other things going on there. So I do like the matchup there. And again, on the flip side, the Eagles pass defense, bottom half of the league. They're bottom 8 in the NFL in rushing yards allowed per game. They're 18th in passing yards allowed per game. So pretty bad marks for Philadelphia. Now, to be fair, who the Eagles have played so far, I mean, they've gone up against some pretty decent quarterbacks, right? Going to Kirk Cousins, Derek Carr, who was red hot the first couple of weeks. So Jordan Love week 1. So that also kind of mixed into the Eagles side of things with their numbers. I mean, you've played some really good quarterbacks there. The only thing I agree with you, the one thing where I would be cautious with this is the fact that no AJ Brown and again Devontae Smith now possibly out. And I mean, Jalen Hurts without AJ Brown already was looking kind of not great. And now you take Devontae Smith out of it. I just wonder what that Eagles passing game, which has already been kind of shaky to start the year, how would that look without their two top receivers? You know what I mean?
We don't even know what it looks like without Smith because he left in the fourth quarter and I think he had like 7 catches already. So it's like he played enough to you know what I mean? It wasn't like, oh, he went down in the first quarter and they had to figure it out. They really didn't have to. So I hear you there, but I do still think that this is, you know what it is? I could summarize it. I probably didn't need the whole spiel. This is a buy low spot for this total.
Yeah. And the one good thing too is that the Bucs have a bottom 7 run defense right now too. So I mean, this could be a big Saquon Barkley game. This could be a big Saquon game. They could lean into the running game a little bit. And I do think the Bucs offense, which obviously had a really bad game, could have a nice bounce back. Like you said, if this game could be somewhere in the 20-20 range, and then all you're hoping for is that one of these two teams can just do that extra, give you that extra oomph. I don't hate it. I personally, I think I'd probably stay away from it or maybe I'd tease the under and a teaser. Tease the over, excuse me, if I were to try and attack this line, but I don't hate it.
Okay. All right, let's jump into the wheel for round number 2. We're going to spin it again. I'm now going first because it is, again, a snake draft. And let's see what we got. I have a few plus money plays, some player props, but I told you before we recorded, I got some weird ones on the board, some alternate lines. So let's see. I have a spread I like. Let's just see what we got. I really don't want to, beggars can't be choosers here.
Like I said, this is the first week where I feel like I'm pretty confident across the board here. That's good. That's fun.
All right, gonna end right on money line there. Simple enough, I would say. All right.
Yeah.
Where I'm going in this direction. Now I actually have a decision to make. I'm gonna do it. This is actually a plus money play, so this would have been one of my plus money plays. I like the Colts in this spot against the Steelers at home because they're plus money. I think this could be a close game, but I think this game is more 50-50 than people are giving it credit for. The Steelers got banged up last week against the Chargers to a bunch of injuries. I think they had like 4 injuries, guys leave the game. But for plus 114 with the Colts at home, I don't think the Colts offense has fired on all cylinders yet. And if they do at all get to Pittsburgh, I think that this is going to be a spot in which Steelers can't really keep up with them. Now I'm giving credit to the Steelers defense in the sense of what they've done so far, but Tasos, as good as the Steelers have played and whatnot, you can't tell me, 1, that they've played anyone super, super legit offensively, and 2, you also can't tell me that they're not due for somewhat of a letdown loss here. Like, this team isn't going 17-0. I think that this is a soft spot for the Steelers on the road. And Indianapolis, who, looked good against a decent defense in Chicago. I'm saying good at the most. But I think that this could be a spot where their offense kind of fires and the Steelers have a little bit of a letdown. And again, it's plus money, so I'm not trying to say that they whoop them or anything like that, but I think this is a 50-50 spot. For me to have 50-50 and get plus 114, I don't mind it.
I think this is the first pick of the year of yours that I actually hate. I think I've been
Hate?
so far this year. I've been pretty much like I've been nice, and there's some picks I don't like. But I don't like this pick at all.
So that means we're getting right back on track to where we were last year.
We're
Now
getting
the
back on
tides are
track.
turning.
Yep. I just this Colts team honestly probably should be 0-3. If Matt Eberflus maybe wasn't the coach of the Chicago Bears, the Bears probably should have. The Bears should have won that game. I'm not impressed with this Colts team. I think defensively, I don't know what it is, but their defense has fallen off a little bit. They have the second worst run defense in the NFL right now, which in this matchup versus the Steelers, not good because the Steelers have the 12th best rushing attack in the NFL
Yeah, but
right now.
Najee Harris might not be playing. Jalen Warren might not be playing. They got so banged up in the last couple weeks.
I mean, they're questionable, right? I mean, Najee's on the injury report. I didn't see Jalen Warren.
Yeah, he left last game. I think he might have came back, or at least he was already clear. But I believe he left the game against the Chargers, if I'm not mistaken.
They are both on the injury report. They're both questionable, but I would assume that at least one of the two are playing. They also have Justin Fields, which a running quarterback here against this Colts defense. Not a good spot. There's nothing the Colts have done this year. I mean, they close game with the Texans week 1, but like we just talked about, the Texans haven't really been super impressive so far. They lost to Malik Willis and the Green Bay Packers. I'm not super impressed with that. And again, that Bears win didn't incite any confidence in me because they should have lost that game. Anthony Richardson, I think in theory, he's a great prospect. He's very raw still. I think he could be special, but some of these throws, he reminds me a lot of like rookie year Josh Allen, but maybe a little bit worse, where it's like, he can make these throws where you're like, holy shit, like where did this guy come from? And then you see some of these interceptions where it's like, what is he thinking? Like,
it's almost like he's trying to make those like the home run play, or the force it play versus like definitely not a guy that takes what he has in front of him or anything like that. So I hear you on that one.
Yeah, and then like the Colts' strength offensively, honestly, has been leaning into Jonathan Taylor. Like the last game, one of the reasons why they won was Jonathan Taylor had his best game of the year so far.
Yep.
And you look at the Steelers' defense; they have the second best run defense in the NFL right now, so 71 yards per game. That's a tough spot. So you're going to have to rely on Anthony Richardson to throw. And although the Steelers got some injuries in that last game, I just don't like the spot here for the Colts against the Steelers defense. The Steelers, I think, have the best defense in the NFL right now. I don't think it's really up for too much debate. I think this kind of a quarterback who's turnover prone, makes a lot of really dumb decisions. I just don't like the spot here. And again, I think the Colts defense is probably the weakest defense that the Steelers have played. So the Steelers have had a gauntlet in terms of defense. They play Atlanta week 1, who's got a really good secondary. You play the Chargers last week, solid defense. You had the Broncos week 2. You saw what they did to Tampa Bay. So they've had a gauntlet of defenses through the first 3 weeks. I'm not saying the Steelers offense is going to be impressive. I'm not going to say it's going to go crazy. I just think that this is probably the weakest defense they've played so far. If they've been able to do what they've done the first few weeks, why can't they do it again this week? I like the Steelers a lot in this spot. And it's funny that we're kind of head-to-head here because in our preseason picks, these were our 2 picks to make the playoffs. I had Steelers to make the playoffs.
Yeah, that's funny. Yeah, you're
you had
right.
Colts to make the playoffs. So
yours is looking very good. Mine is going to turn some things around. I'll say this: the just before I wanted to touch on the Jonathan Taylor. In most matchups, he's going to be the best running back the team has seen against all year. But even Bijan Robinson had like 100+ scrimmage yards, so he did okay, right? And then they saw Javonte Williams and Jaleel McLaughlin, right? And then J.K. Dobbins and Gus Edwards. These aren't like Jonathan Taylor-esque running back. I'm not saying that their run defense is like bad. I'm not trying to poke that hole, but I still think Jonathan Taylor can perform. Like if Bijan Robinson can have 6 to 8 on the ground and nearly, I think it's like over 40 through the air, I think Jonathan Taylor can kind of be in that camp and the Colts can kind of still rely on it. Like I don't think he gets shut down, but I do hear, like I said, I think if this was minus 110, it wouldn't even come close to my picks here.
Yeah, Steelers are also 6-2 in their last 8 games as a favorite, so that also kind of plays into where it's like when you give Mike Tomlin that kind of edge. Now, obviously, Mike Tomlin as an underdog, way more profitable than as a favorite, but lately he's been pretty good. So, like I said, I see the value for it. I understand because the Steelers, they're not like this, world-beating team. Yes, they're 3-0, but it's kind of been ugly along the way. But I just think that defense is way too tough for Anthony Richardson to overcome. I think it's going to be a really tough matchup for him.
All right, that's fair enough. What do you got?
So my pick was Steelers money line.
I don't see why you can't do it.
Yeah, because I think the rule was we can't piggyback off. Like I can't go now say Colts spread.
Exactly. You can totally go.
Yeah, so I'm going to go Steelers money line. I'm literally going to go fade me.
Have we ever done that before?
I don't think so. That was literally going to be my pick going into this was Steelers money line, and then when you said Colts, I was like, oh okay, that's interesting. Yeah. I really like I think the Steelers are going to go 4-0. I think it's going to take them playing a team that's again, they haven't had the toughest schedule, but they also haven't had. It's been weird. Their schedule's been kind of weird where they're playing these teams that like they're not. I wouldn't call them bad. I wouldn't call them good, like the Falcons, the Chargers. These teams that are like they're tough plays. I just think this is not the game they're going to lose. I think this Colts team, like I just said, I just don't think offensively they've been that impressive to me. And defensively, they've been fine, but nothing that's really left off the screen. Like, teams have been able to kind of do what they want. I mean, the Texans had 29, their highest scoring game of the season. The Packers, they only scored 16, but it was Malik Willis. I'm just, like I said, I haven't really been inspired by this Colts team. I think they probably should be 0-3 again if the Bears had a competent coach. The Colts would be 0-3 right now, and this would be a very different tune. I just like the Steelers a lot in this match, and the public betting percentages seem to agree. 84% of all bets on the Steelers, 95% of the money though is on Pittsburgh. So not only do you have the public, but the sharps are very heavy on the Steelers here in this game. The same thing for the spread. 64% of all bets are on Pittsburgh, but 76% of the money is on Pittsburgh. So not only do you have the public, you also have the sharps in the public line. That obviously could be dangerous for me. That could be good for you because Vegas doesn't lose. But I think I like the Steelers too much here in this matchup.
All right, that's fair enough. Let's and like I said, I can see both sides, but I like the plus money side. Like even after everything you say, it's like I like having that plus 114 in my pocket.
For
so
sure.
yeah. All right, let's jump into this. This is round number 3. Tasos, you're leading us off. That's crazy. I don't think we've ever gone like opposite.
Yeah, we got basically 2 fade me picks.
All right. This week is going to be decided by those for sure. But now we have one total off the board, one money line off the board. We have 2 spreads left. We have one money line left, one Thursday Night Football, and then one plus money play. Anything you're eyeing?
I have my alternate pick is still sitting there. It's still there. I'm hoping I get it. I really do, but we'll see.
All right, let's spin it. Ooh.
Sit.
Oh, you have.
There it is.
Now I'm getting worried because I have one of my Alt-Ev picks here. So now I'm a little bit worried. All right, what do we got?
All right, so I actually have. I could go higher. I could go lower. I'm gonna play a little on the safer side. Still plus money value. I'm going Dallas Cowboys minus 6.5 on the alternate spread. I actually had them 8.5 originally. I'm going to take it down a little bit just to play it safe because I don't want to get too carried away here.
Yep.
One thing, Ev, if you remember last year, there's one team that I can dissect perfectly. I know, and it's Notre Dame football, and it's the Dallas Cowboys because they're one and the same. They're the same team, the same. I can predict almost every Cowboy game pretty easily. This is what they do. It's the same thing over and over with them. They beat Cleveland week 1. Everyone's like, oh man, Dallas 44-19. Oh, this team looks really good. Then they get smoked by the Saints. Then they lose. They were getting smoked by the Ravens. They do come back and make it a little closer. But that game, for most of it, Baltimore dominated them. They were killing them most of the game. Dallas in the last 8 minutes made it interesting. You saw Dak Prescott post-game jump off, basically telling people jump off the ship. Like, if you don't believe in us, hop off. Mm-hmm. This is what the Cowboys do. Everybody in America, Skip Bayless doesn't have his own talk show anymore, but if he did, he'd be on there talking about how he's over with Dak. He'd be throwing his jersey in the trash and all this stuff. And Stephen A. Smith's on ESPN right now with the cowboy hat on and going crazy. Everybody's selling their Cowboy stock. This is literally the perfect bounce back stock spot for them. Who is waiting for them after these 2 losses? No one else but the New York Giants, who are also coming off a win. I'm not impressed by this Giants team. I think this is Daboll's probably his last year, which is unfortunate. I do think he's a good coach. Probably his last year. It's definitely going to be Daniel Jones' last year with the Giants. This team's heading for yet another rebuild, I think, in the offseason. And, they beat Cleveland. They almost beat Washington. A couple of close games, but again, I think Cleveland and Washington, questions about how good those teams are, really. Mm-hmm. I think this is a perfect bounce back spot for Dallas. Coming off of 2 tough losses here. Now you get the Giants in Thursday Night Football. It's a perfect spot for them to go ahead and blow them out. I think this is going to be a 10-point plus win, honestly, for Dallas, if I was being truthful. But I'm going to play it safe here. Take a 6.5. It's plus 120 on DraftKings, so it is a plus money play. I just think the Cowboys will absolutely roll them here. Nothing that I've seen from the Giants so far this season makes me think the Giants are going to come out here and win this game. And although Dallas hasn't looked super impressive, I just don't love the spot. And then you look at the recent history and the head-to-head data. Dallas has dominated this series. They've won each of the last 5 matchups versus the Giants. Both times they played last year, the last time back on November 12th, Dallas won 49-17, and the time before that they won 40-0. Daniel Jones has not been successful very much in his career. They've actually covered this 6.5-point line in each of the last 5 games versus them. So pretty solid data there for what is essentially a plus money play is a
Yeah,
plus money play.
I mean, I can't. I'd be a lunatic if I started to try and argue for the Giants here in this spot. And this wasn't going to be like you didn't pull it out for me, but I actually had one of my Alti-Ev plays was taking them down to -3, like just to get a little bit safer. So that's only a 3.5 point difference. You keep it in a touchdown. I tried to get it. We just went opposite directions with it, essentially. You know what I mean? So I have nothing bad to say about that. I don't believe in Danny Dingleberry and the Giants whatsoever. I don't think anybody should. I mean, you have Dak Prescott, who, like, even when Dak Prescott has bad games and whatnot, like, we know what Dak Prescott is. No one can tell you Dak Prescott is a bad quarterback or he won't show up on a week 4 Thursday night football. Like, no, he'll win these games. He'll blow teams out. He just won't win in the playoffs. We're not talking playoffs. We're talking a spot in which they own this team, in a spot in which everyone's, down on them on Thursday night football. It's like, to me, this is a spot in which everyone's going to be this is the type of playoff game that Dak Prescott wins. You know what I mean? Like he wins the Thursday night football matchup against a bad team. They have a low spread because they haven't performed. And this is why he gets paid. This is the type of game in which he gets paid. So yeah, I don't mind it whatsoever. I like looking at this any way, shape, or form. Like, my play here, I'll jump right into it, as a plus 148 alternate play, and it's Rico Dowdle, I don't even know if we could say backup running back anymore because he's outplaying Zeke in terms of snaps now. Over 2.5 receptions. Normal line's at 1.5. Is over 2.5 receptions, plus 148 on FanDuel right now. Since he started to play more snaps now, 2 weeks in a row, 4 receptions, 3 receptions. We've seen this New York team let up plenty of receptions to running back so far this season. I believe it was Aaron Jones had 2 that same game. Chandler had 3. Then we saw Eckler with 3, beat Brian Robinson with 1. Jerome Ford, who's not a pass catching back really, with 3 receptions for plus 148, and a guy that is getting, in over the last 2 weeks here, 5 targets a game. I can see him doing this. And again, he's out snapping Zeke by far now. So, I don't mind the idea of him, even if he plays, I would say even if he plays 50% of the snaps, I really don't mind the idea of him catching 3 balls again for plus 148 against a team in which, if this Dallas team goes according to plan, this game for you, they're blowing them out and everything like that, they're not going to be taking these 70-yard shots to CD or stuff like that. Their pass plays may be little scat back type plays or little screen passes or dump offs in which he could have 0 in the first half. And if they're leading by, more than a score, like you even and I agree that they could be, these are the type of plays or catches and pass plays that they'll run scheme wise.
Well, yeah, and so I think the other thing too, another reason why I really like this pick, and this is, again, it's a weird year that I love a lot of your picks, minus the Colts one. The Giants defense is not very good, but where their strength is the defensive line. Now, the Cowboys offensive line this year has not been fantastic. This feels like a spot where Dak, under some pressure, could go ahead and do a little check down, a little dump down to the running back to be safe. This could be a really good spot. They have Brian Burns, Kayvon Thibodeau, Azeez Ojulari, Dexter Lawrence. They're stacked on the defensive line. They could put pressure on Dak, and he may have no choice but dump it down to the running back a handful of times. So, pretty solid spot, honestly.
Yeah, and again, it's like it's plus 148. Like, that should be the argument.
Great
You know what I mean? It's not like I'm saying there's a reason why it's so plus. It's not this guaranteed lock of a pick, but just like when I even liked the Colts, it's like, if I view this as more of a 50-50 spot, I'll take that plus sign next to the play.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I said, the value I think is too good to pass up on that prop. It's too good.
All right, so now we move into the Fade Me spot here, Tasos. Just so we can give a little explanation of what Fade Me is for people that don't know. You'll see a wheel on your screen in just a second. It's going to have our names, just like you saw, see who goes first. But the kicker is, whoever this lands on gets to make a play anywhere in the NFL here. The other person has to take the opposite of that. And it's a huge deal in our week to week here, because obviously that guarantees at least one of us has a loss, because this would be a pretty bad show if we go on here and both go 0-4, which is well within my capabilities. And Tasos has done it before too. So this is kind of the kicker. So again, whoever this wheel is going to land on, they get to make a play, no category, anything. You could pick whatever you want. The other person has to take the exact opposite of that play. Tasos, you had it last week, right?
Yep.
What are you feeling this week?
Actually, you had it last week. And I won off of your misfire on the Bucks.
That was Bucks, right? Bucks team total. So you won it last week. What are you feeling now?
I have a pick. Pick. I like it a lot. I think it's something that like I think it's one of those fun ones where it's like if you have to root for it, you're not gonna like it.
Oh, I have my picks in the same boat.
Like I think it's gonna be one of those things where it's like this is one of those picks where like you absolutely just don't want to root for this line. So
All right, let's see. I
kind
think
of
I'm in
hoping
the
I get
same
it.
boat. I wonder if it's the same spot, but let's see. Now knowing that, I definitely don't want to lose this. I want it. I think it's
Come
going
on,
to be
take it
you,
slow,
unless that
slow,
go, go,
slow,
go,
slow,
go, go.
slow. Don't move. Don't
All right.
move.
All right. What is this nasty pick that you're if this is the
We're
I
sticking
am
with we're sticking with Thursday night. I've been
okay.
addicted ever since the wheels that week where we got like all those Thursday night plays. These Thursday night plays have been
Now
speaking
you
to
love
me.
it.
I'm going Daniel Jones over half an interception. So you have to go ahead and take him under half an interception.
Oh,
Now
that is disgusting.
that's what I mean.
I'm gonna be clenching my cheeks every
time.
time he drops back. Oh my god!
And that you got Micah Parsons rushing him, and that Cowboys defense forces takeaways. It's one thing they do very well.
Yeah.
It's minus 114 on DraftKings, so I think you're getting it probably at plus money.
No,
I would
minus
probably...
110. It looks like is
that's even
yeah.
worse. It's
yeah.
even worse.
So it's
Even
essentially a
if it
pick 'em.
cashes,
Four cents of difference.
cashes,
Yeah.
not great value there. He actually last year he only played them once last year before he got hurt. He threw 2 interceptions the last time they played. He's averaging in his career versus Dallas 0.6 interceptions per game. So, not a full pick a game, but he is throwing interceptions. He's cashed this over now in 2 of their last 3 meetings. To give you a little help, he's failed to exceed half an interception in 4 of his last 5 games. So, not terrible recently. He threw 2 picks week 1 versus Minnesota. He hasn't thrown any picks since then. To me, that just screams that he's due.
And Washington was one of those games. It's literally the worst secondary in the league. One of.
Yeah. Yep. And so, I mean, last year, now, to be fair, he only played 6 games last year, but in 4 of those 6 games, he did cash the over. He's had 3 multi-interception games in his last 9 games. This Dallas defense really big in takeaways. I would not want to bet on, and I feel bad for you, truly I do. I wouldn't want to have to bet on his under here. The Cowboys are averaging an interception a game. They're top 10 in takeaways already this year. Just feels like a good spot. Daniel Jones to throw a pick, I feel like, is a pretty safe bet in this matchup.
I hate it. I hate having this spot. Like there's almost and I'm hoping I'm jinxing it to the gambling gods here. There's almost a 0% chance that Daniel Jones doesn't throw a pick.
Oh, don't say that. Don't do that. Don't bring up the jinxes. That's
hey,
my
you,
thing.
you gave me Daniel Jones. I gotta do what I gotta do at this point. God forbid was Tasos' catchphrase last year. Yeah, God forbid Danny Dimes goes up there and absolutely cuts up this Giants team, because now what if the Giants, the Cowboys team, the Cowboys,
there it is. He's getting mixed up. He's getting mixed up.
Oh man, like God forbid Daniel Jones has a great game, because then that means the Cowboys are going to be passing more. Giants may be covering. Rico Dowdle gets his receptions. Daniel Jones doesn't have to pass it as much. Oh, God forbid Thursday Night Football goes like that. That would be tough. But no, in actuality, I hate having him to not throw a pick.
I said it's gross.
Dude, you could put a picture of him on the wall and you can tell like someone that doesn't know football, they'd be like, that looks like a guy that's going to throw an interception. He looks like a dummy. Danny, oh my God, I hate this so much, but good pick by you.
Like I said, he hasn't done it in 2 straight games. It just means he's due.
He's absolutely
due. It's death, taxes, and Daniel Jones turnovers. He's due for one.
This is tough. This is tough. Like I don't know what to make of this. I like the pick for you. I think it's a good spot. And even still, like you're not even giving me you even thought it would be plus money for me. You know what I mean? It's minus 110 on DraftKings. It's minus one. Let's see. No, it's minus 114. No, you took the over. Yeah, the under's minus 110. Yeah. The minus 110 on DraftKings as well. So it's like I'm getting a terrible spot here. So all right. Well, to recap here, round number 1. Let's see. That was our total. I went with the Eagles and the Bucks over. You went with the under in the Texans and Jags game. Round number 2, we had, what was that? That was the
money line. We had
money line. Colts. Oh, that's another favorite on you, right? Then Thursday Night Football, Rico Dowdle for me, and then you had the Cowboys alternate. So that's a plus money round right there as well. And then fade me, obviously, Danny Dingleberry, and me having to hope he doesn't throw an interception, but that is tough. Anything you want to leave the people with before we close out today's show?
No, just keep the faith. I've seen a lot of people already, this guy's, there's one, honestly, I got to give
someone's like, I can't stomach his energy, and I was like, I like that guy.
I can't stomach his energy. I'm like, that's
I like that guy.
There was one, it was the one to Takakas.
Oh, that was great.
I thought that was a good one.
I might start calling you Takaka Kakas now.
Yeah,
that was great.
I was like, that's a good one. I'll give him credit. That's a good one. But
Guys,
listen,
keep the Tasos hate coming for me.
hey, listen, it just fuels me. Just keep, you know what? It makes me even more motivated to come here and just beat Ev's ass. So listen, if you guys want me to be the villain, I'll be the villain. I don't care.
He will. He will.
Listen,
I know that to be the
you either
case.
die a hero or you live long enough to see yourself become the villain. So obviously, last year I whooped your ass consistently. Maybe now I'm the villain. That's okay.
We'll see. We'll see. I mean, you're my villain each and every week, regardless of if the audience likes you or not. So, but guys, that is going to wrap it up for season number 2, episode number 5, week number 4. We'll just be calling it weeks now because I'm getting confused with because we had the preseason show. But week number 4 of H2H. And yeah, we'll catch you guys in the next one. Keep supporting, liking, commenting, subscribing. Appreciate the hell out of the support on this show. Definitely leaps and bounds in terms of growth from last year. So appreciate that. But we'll catch you guys in the next one. All right. Peace out.